Hey everybody, Jared Jones. Maybe you've been watching the news lately. There's a huge headline that just came out that I want to talk about called Going Bare. Going bare means that you run around naked in the streets of Florida.
Wait a minute!
It's been made popular. It's a nudist movement. What? Now, actually, what going bare means is actually owning your home without property insurance. Meaning, if your home were to burn down and you have no insurance, you are going to be what's called self-insuring. That means you're going to be covering the rebuild cost out of your own pocket. So today we're going to talk about why this is the thing and what this means for homeowners going forward, because if you read the headlines, you know that the average cost in Florida to insure a house is $6,000, which I believe is probably double what it was 3 years ago, maybe higher. The average house, you know, one of these houses you can see behind me, this probably insured for $2,500 a year for a very long time. And it doesn't matter where you are, people are getting hit with high rates. So a lot of people say, oh, well, this is just affecting people by the water. Well, I'm standing in the middle of Orlando right now, okay, folks? And I'll tell you a story right up front. I had a lady that wanted to sell her house. She called me frantic because the company she was with for 7+ years overnight said, I'm taking your rates from $3,000 a year to $14,000 a year for her coverage. Not a multi-million-dollar home, easily a home that looks just like that one that you see right in the background, okay? Similar to it. Probably 3,000 square feet, you know, one level home in a normal run-of-the-mill community, okay? So why did they do that? Because all insurers right now are having to underwrite a lot of cost in their policies. You're also seeing headlines that are running down Ron DeSantis saying, did he do anything for insurance? And I got to tell you, folks, I'm not going to cheer Ron DeSantis on. I'm not going to go against him. I know every time I put him on a thumbnail, everybody wigs out. Automatically thinks I hate Ron DeSantis because of my thumbnail. But you couldn't be more wrong about my position or what I think about Ron DeSantis, because, you know, I will say I was in the pandemic in Florida, and there's a lot I appreciated about how he governed. Whenever you had governors in the north that wouldn't even let their people buy seeds or go down an aisle that had gloves for their hands or whatever. You had these weird restrictions in the name of public health. And Ron DeSantis has obviously became very popular because the entire planet said, man, this guy was ahead of the curve and he wasn't power hungry in those ways. But obviously they don't like him for other reasons, but let's digress. Ron DeSantis is going to be held to a standard as his way out of governorship as how did he handle property insurance? Because property insurance is a mega issue in real estate in Florida because number one, we are a high risk state for our property damage. You know, we have a hurricane season every year, like clockwork. Now, it doesn't mean we get hit by one, but we sure as heck need its protection, okay? But at the same time, you got to understand that whatever Ron DeSantis takes for heat, a lot of these issues existed before he got here, okay? So Florida's system enabled people to create massive cost that essentially looks to be extorted against insurance companies. So everybody and their brother likes to come in the comments and be like, oh, the insurance companies are just big. You know, you could tell a fraud talking about this issue if they say the word big insurance. They are a fraud, okay? How can two things be true, right? Two ends of the same thing can't be true, right? Can we all agree to that? Okay, so then how can we have record high premiums on one hand, and on the other hand, during an acceptance of the market and an acknowledgement that they have to pay record high premiums, you have these same vendors leaving the state, okay? Everybody's charging more, but I'm actually not going to stay here and charge more. I'm actually out of the industry. When you have insurance companies leaving the state, and to my recollection, again, I'm not studying this out and there's going to be another video coming. You got to understand the reason why people are considering jettisoning their insurance is because it is getting expensive. When you have a $6,000 average premium in the state of Florida, you have people paying 10, 15 grand a year, okay? Now, factor that on top of this, folks. Over the past 5 years, your property taxes likely nearly doubled in a lot of places. Not everywhere, okay? Because obviously if you've lived here a long time and you've got all kinds of what's called local homestead exemption protections, then you're a little bit protected to some degree against massively fluctuating speed of increase of tax. But we have a whole heck of a lot of other things to pay for, folks, and they're undeniably way more expensive than they used to be. Thankful to free, cheap, and easy money, okay? I'm gonna answer that question for you right here because a lot of people can't figure out why everything's so expensive. They're like, oh, Pepsi just likes to raise prices and charge me more for my 12-pack of soda. That's not what it is. You're lost. You don't understand your central bank send out your buying power in the dollar, and that's what the problem is. So the real issue with the insurance in Florida, specifically right now, folks, is we're going to see that Ron DeSantis had passed some very interesting bills in the past couple of years. Now, you aren't hearing about them, but they are dramatically going to be beneficial for insurance in the long run. That's why if you read the news now, you're seeing insurance companies considering returning to Florida. That's because a lot of the loopholes that created the fraud have been closed, okay? This weekend, I'm going to try and show you those specific loopholes, and I'm going to show you the industries that extorted our insurance system and how they are pissed. You can go on their channels and you can see them fuming over these new bills, crying about how the roofing industry and the general contractor industry and attorneys are going to just be in so much pain and suffering. They won't be able to help the common poor person with their next insurance claim because those loopholes are getting closed. Okay. So I love to see that as an analogy. I did my research. I've got a great video update coming, but right now we are going to have a season where all at once you have the Florida consumer who, yes, we have more people coming back to the market to bring insurance offerings for people for homes, but you've got a lot of weird stuff going on, specifically like Citizens Insurance, okay? Citizens Insurance was an option that's state-backed that when a person could not get coverage, that was a stopgap measure. Well, everybody and their brother jumped to Citizens because magically the state-backed policies were cheaper in a lot of cases. Now, what's happening is the Ron DeSantis made famously a statement about 5 months ago saying that Citizens is effectively insolvent. They have way too many policies, and if there was a really bad storm, they would be underwater and defunct. And that was not a great headline to make for Ron DeSantis. But since, you got to understand this, and I'm going to give the overarching background, and then I'm going to end this video, and I'm going to do a deep dive on another video so you can see exactly what the laws are going to do. The way it is playing out is that the changes necessary to disrupt the flatly easy lawsuit process in Florida that's absolutely caused attorneys to make billions off the industry, that's been changed, okay? There's another big fraud loophole called AOBs, assignments of benefits, where people would have contractors fraud the insurance companies through the AOB. Those things, they're gone, right? You don't see this covered. I don't see it covered. I do see people, like Newsweek and these kinds of ads, posting articles running saying, I don't think DeSantis has done anything. Has he really done anything at all? And honestly, if you look at the other side, folks, the way I see it, help is on the way, because the people that are crying are the ones that were extorting the system left and right. And those changes overnight has seemingly put some nails in their coffins. However, a lot of them just took effect. So you got to understand, until the insurance marketplace feels safety, that it's not the wild, wild east over here in Florida with insurance, they're just going to stay away. That's how the market flows. Free market capitalism is like a river, folks. If you throw rocks in the way, the river is going to divert itself and work somewhere else. And essentially, that's what insurance companies have done. They said, I'm out of Florida. And we got relegated to maybe 6 or 7 that remained. In the absence of competition, prices go really high. In the absence of effective policy to keep people from frauding and taking advantage, prices of things go really high because all of us in Florida are underwriting the fraud. We're all paying for it collectively. And insurance policies, especially when there's only a few places left to cover you. But I will tell you, if you're on Citizens, be careful. The Florida state-backed policy, they are watching. And if you can get insurance now from someone else, you might have to get it, even if it's more expensive than Citizens. So that's the next game that's being played, is Citizens is saying, get off our books. You can get insurance from somewhere else. But Mr. Citizens, you're $2,000 a year cheaper. Doesn't matter. You have to go over there. So the game still has bumps in it, folks. By the way, go in the comments. Tell me what your experience has been. Did you have your insurance disrupted, issues getting it, anything like that? Drop in the comments to let me know. And as always, I do deep dives in markets across the country. If you have a request for a marketplace, I usually need an entire metropolitan area, like a large city, not some random backwoods county. But if you're in an area, like I just did Austin last week, I did Las Vegas the week before that, and you're curious, you're like, man, things seem to be really shifting and the realtors around here aren't shooting me straight, jump in the comments, put it down, I'll put it on a list, and I will do it on my channel just for you. That's it, folks. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you in the next one.